Hi, everybody. My name's Joel, and I'm here with one of my dogs. This is Marty. Um, anyway, um, I wanted to touch on something that I think about, but really don't discuss. And this is something that kind of drives me up the wall, and it comes from people who are pretty much on the right. And that is when they say we're a Christian nation. And I would argue we are not a Christian nation. Um, I took a class when I was going to Penn called Religion and Public Life. And in the class, read this book by John J. DiIulio called Godly Republic, a Centrist Blueprint for America's Faith-Based Future. And in the book, he argues that we're a godly republic. Um, Basically, the founders wanted God not separate from government, but if you read the Constitution, or let me back up a little bit, people often say religion and state should be separate. There should be no religion and government, and that's not correct. The founding fathers never wanted religion separate from government. If you read the Constitution, it just simply says there should be no religious test for office. So you could be Jewish, Anglican, Catholic, born again Christian, Muslim, whatever the case might be, to hold public office. So there's no religious test for office. I think there was in England, and that's why they added this to the Constitution. But people confuse this because Thomas Jefferson had actually coined that term in a letter that he wrote to a Baptist congregation in Connecticut. It was never in any of the founding publications or the Constitution that we are to have religion and state separate, period. Although I agree that we should not have prayer in public schools, I could also make the case that we have a civil religion in public schools, maybe private schools. I've never been to a Catholic school. But and that's a different story. Civil religion, that was something that was Robert and Bella came up with back in the mid 1960s, was civil religion. But as far as being a Christian country, no, we're not, because that really excludes all the other groups of people with religions, including those people who are agnostic or atheist or spiritual or whatever the case may be. I also wouldn't want prayer in public schools because, well, what prayer are you going to say? Because somebody's religious prayer may not be for my religion. But in any case, religion and state were not to be completely separated. Take a look at all the documents that we have. Take a look, pull out a paper bill, and you'll see, in God we trust. Look at how many times God is written in the Declaration of Independence and in the Constitution. And they're referring to the Old Testament and the New Testament of the Bible. So, and the reason for this is because without God, how can man expect to be moral, I guess? Um, so we need religion. Whether you believe in it or not, um, whether you believe in God or not, we need religion. Um, it's okay to have religion in government. Um, Even Congress has ministers, rabbis, Muslim clerics, other religious leaders of different faiths come in and um, open up um, sessions with prayers, and this is commonplace to celebrate the different facets and the many different religions that we have in the United States. We do have the right to celebrate and practice and worship any religion that we want. Okay? Even George Washington, I think he had actually visited a Jewish congregation in Providence, Rhode Island when he was president. And he basically told them, in paraphrasing, you feel free to practice any religion you want as long as you're good Americans. So um, we need religion. It doesn't mean that I want people to proselytize to me. I find that annoying. Um, I don't proselytize to other people. I don't like it. I do understand that there's a lot of Christian religions that this is what they do. Um, but as much as I don't like it, they have as much right to proselytize because of the religious freedom that we have. So I could choose to walk away. I could choose to tell them to leave me alone. I could choose to not go where they're doing this. And they could choose to do that. So, I mean, there's give and take. I don't want prayer in public schools to the point where, because people will say, when they read something bad in the news about kids, and they say, well, we need prayer in schools again. Well, no, we don't need the school telling me, well, I don't have any kids, but your kids, or if I had kids, telling them what prayer to say. I don't like that. However, if the child wants to take a moment and pray, I don't have a problem with that. The city of Virginia Beach, when I was going to school there, and I went for a year of elementary school. Well, actually, a year and a quarter. But anyway, in Virginia Beach, in the area I lived in, 7th grade was still elementary school. And the school I went to, they had a minute of silence at the beginning of the class day. I left the area, came back up north, and I went back down towards the end of 10th grade, and I finished out in high school. And they still had that minute of silence. At the time, I didn't like it. I felt like they could use that minute for, starting class. But it's a good compromise. And it wasn't hurting anybody. And there were students in the class who would bow down their heads and they would, I guess, silently pray to themselves. And out of respect, I would keep quiet during that minute. It's a minute of silence, so I wasn't disruptive. But I think that's a good compromise. So we don't want to force prayer in schools, but we should also be accepting of religion in schools. In public school, okay? Obviously, if you send your kid to a private school, you should be able to get what you pay for. So if you're sending your kid to a secular private school and you don't want religion, then, you're paying for that. But in public school, at this point, I don't have a problem with it. I think this stems from the fact that we really got away from civics, and and this is going to go into a different area, but the public school system in this country is going backwards. Um, as far as the people that they're employing as teachers, from what I hear, fortunately, I didn't run into any education problems as far as teachers trying to indoctrinate me. And this goes for college too, and it goes for graduate school. And although in my first video I touched on that I went to one graduate school at Penn for a master's in liberal arts, after I finished there, I went to Johns Hopkins. I took classes online for an MA in government, and I finished that up in January. Well, I finished my thesis in January, but I graduated at the end of December last year. But even through both schools, in graduate school, I don't feel that anybody was trying to indoctrinate me. So maybe this happens more often in the basic classes that the students have to take. I'm not sure. But those are my thoughts on the subject. We need God, and this is the God of Abraham in the Old Testament and the New Testament. Because without God, how can you expect man to follow law when God is the highest law? It's important that we have it. We could still have many different religions in this country. People are free to practice or not practice or create their own religions as they choose. As long as they're not violating somebody else's rights, that's fine. I don't have a problem with it. I don't see why, especially by the time kids get into high school, where we couldn't have an elective class on comparative religions or world religions or something of that nature. I wouldn't have a problem. Forcing religion, I do have a problem with. I don't want religion forced on me. I have major issues with that. Okay? I don't like being captive to someone else's ideas and having them forced upon me. If they want to introduce them, if I have an interest, then I'll ask questions. But publicly, there's no problem with this at all. And these people who are writing on the left, that's one of their things. They want to get rid of religion. We need religion. I'm not a religious person, okay? Technically, I'm probably not Jewish. My mother was not Jewish. My father was. I had a bris. I did not go to Hebrew school, okay? I was not bar mitzvahed. But after my mother died, there was no reason, I had no reason and lost all interest in celebrating Christian holidays, so no longer celebrated Christmas. I had one more Christmas with my sister and the husband the year after my mother died, or following the month my mother died, and that was it. Since then, I've just lit Hanukkah candles. I've gone to Passover Seders at in Pennsylvania. There is a place on the University of Pennsylvania campus for the students of Drexel and Penn who were Jewish, and also the surrounding community. And I've gone there for Passover Seders and also for Shabbat. Not for a couple years though, because I'm working nights now on Fridays, and also the last couple years I've had knee surgery, so I wasn't able to walk or drive. But in any event, when I go, I actually feel better, if you can believe that. And I'm not very religious. I don't understand all the, I guess, the nuances of the service, but I do feel better being around these people, okay? And it's an Orthodox place, okay? It's not a conservative synagogue or anything like that. It's a but any case, and the service is also done in Hebrew. I don't speak Hebrew. I don't understand it, okay? But in any event, that's how I feel about it. But if you're interested, I would get this book. You can get it from Amazon.com. My copy here is kind of, beat up a little bit because I used it for class. I spill coffee on the cover. I spill coffee on everything, on myself, the floor, the dogs. But I used this I had to read this for the class. And I would make the argument that we're a godly republic. The United States is a republic. We're not a true democracy. We're a democratic republic. And we can thank now the mind now escapes me. Adams, I think. John Adams. Let me see here. Anyway, the authors of the Federalist paper, the Federalists, for their insight into this. Let me know what you think. I do want to say, as far as being a godly republic, and our laws are based off Judeo-Christian values. Let me stress that. Judeo-Christian values. Judeo is the Old Testament, and the Christian is the New Testament, okay? And the Bible is the combination of both of them. But we have Judeo-Christian values in this country. And we should not have to change those to accommodate an inflow of people, okay, who want to practice their religion, which they're more than welcome to, but to accommodate them in the sense that if it doesn't correspond to Judeo-Christian values, they should still be allowed to carry on. That's unacceptable, okay? We should not have to change our values to accommodate other people. Again, as I said in a previous video, we and people have gotten away from this or haven't mentioned it, but we're the great American melting pot. You need to come here and assimilate. Sure, by all means, bring your religion, celebrate your religion, practice your religion. No problem with that, okay? But we're not going to institute special rules just so you can practice your religion, okay, when it goes against Judeo-Christian values. That's our country, okay? This is what our country was based on. This is what our laws are based on, okay? The laws in regards to moral things like, murder, cheating on your spouse or something like that. These are all moral things that are also in the commandments in the Bible. But in any event, I think that we need to increase the amount of religion and remind people that it's okay to be religious. And it's okay to have religion in public places. Let's not be afraid to have religion in public schools. We don't want to force it on people. We don't want to encourage a particular religion over another one, but we want people to be free to practice their religion. So when you have public schools that won't allow maybe a church to use their space for a particular reason outside of school hours, because separation of church and state, well, that's really ridiculous, okay? That's silly. I just don't see a reason for something as silly as that. But in any event, I think the next video I'm going to touch more on the civil religion of Robert Bella. Um, I think it's pretty interesting, and you let me know what you think about that after I post it. But in any event, um, this channel's new. I don't have a lot of viewers so far as of today. I got one subscriber. I don't even know who that is, and it's not me from my other channel. But any case, I want to hear what people have to say on the topic of religion, and I wanna have a discussion regarding that. And I also, before closing this video out, because this is something that drives me up a wall, when you have Muslim members of Congress, and again, I don't have problems with Muslims running for office or being elected, okay, or whatever the case might be. Let's separate out what I might feel about a particular Muslim congressperson and what they do or say as to just that they have the right as an American citizen to run for office. But when they want to take their oath of office on the Quran, our laws are based on Judeo-Christian values. That's why we have a Bible in Congress. That's why the President of the United States swears an oath of office on a Bible. That's why when you go to court and you testify, you swear an oath to tell the truth on a Bible. That includes the Old Testament and the New Testament. This is where our laws come from. So I have a problem when somebody else wants to use a different book, okay? Because they're swearing an oath on a Quran is unacceptable to me. Whatever religion, Shinto, Buddhist, I don't care. If you're Satanist, if you're swearing an oath to your office on any other book other than the Bible, it's not acceptable to me at all. No. But in any case, I'm going to cut it off right here because I rambled a whole lot more. I wanted this to be half the time that it took. But please let me know what you think in the comments below. And I hope you all have a good week.